The Rams are linked to a all-pro cornerback this offseason. How his signing impacts the Rams defense heading into next season and why this makes them real Super Bowl contenders for next year. All that and more on this episode of Rams Digest. And welcome back to another episode of Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Finehirsh. And before we get into today's story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you do not miss any daily new Rams Digest videos and content. So make sure to hit that button, hit that bell, as we are getting into our main story of today, and that is the Rams are linked to an all-pro cornerback this offseason through free agency, not through trade, and how this player has an amazing impact on the Rams defense. And that player, and this story, before we get into the player, is brought to you by HeavySports.com, and the player is former All-Pro and Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore, as we get into our story today. It's no secret that the Rams need help at cornerback. The cornerback trio of Kyren Williams, 59.3, Ahkello Witherspoon, 62.6, and Kobe Durant, 61.5, posted below average coverage grades last season according to PFF. The Rams' passing defense ranked 20th in the NFL last season, allowing 223.1 pass yards per game and 29 passing touchdowns last season. It's time for them to make a change. And before we go any further, there have been no official meetings between the Rams and Stephon Diggs just yet. There's been some rumors floating around that the Rams have looked into signing Diggs, but no official meetings, no negotiations have started yet. That is important to note before we get any further in this story. But getting back to this article, I definitely agree that this has to change. The Rams cannot win a Super Bowl by having the 20th ranked passing defense in the NFL. They don't need an elite passing defense, but if they can improve the defense to be ranked 13th, 14th, 12th, just something like that, that helps so much, especially if they go against a pass-heavy team in the Super Bowl or have to go against an elite wide receiver one in any given game. It would be so important to have a corner, especially a veteran like Gilmore, in this scenario, especially in the red zone too. 29 passing touchdowns given up it's not ideal. It's over one per game. So that definitely needs to change in the red area. If the Rams are serious about contending in the NFC and want to maximize the back end of Matthew Stafford's career, they can't afford to roll the dice on inconsistency in the secondary. There's one move that would make immediate sense: signing two-time All-Pro cornerback Stephon Gilmore. And he's a proven playmaker with championship pedigree. Gilmore is on the back end of his career just like Stafford, but he still had a productive season with the 2024 Minnesota Vikings, posting 56 total tackles, an interception, and 9 pass deflections. The 2019 NFL Defensive Player of the Year, 5-time Pro Bowler, and Super Bowl champion with the Patriots over the Rams in that 2018 season, can provide a ton of value and still played 860 snaps last season despite being 34 years old, which is really, really impressive at that age to be able to play that many snaps for an NFL team and that many quality snaps. Again, Gilmore is not the Defensive Player of the Year caliber corner like he was a few seasons back, but he's still a really good player. I've mentioned Stephon Gilmore in some videos talking about Jalen Ramsey trades as to why he'd be a better fit and a better signing, because he'd be a lot cheaper and he's a veteran who has winning experience, which is really important come playoff time, especially for a secondary outside of Kyren Williams, who's not really as experienced in the playoffs so far. And I want you to comment down below right now, what do you think of the potential signing of Stephon Gilmore? I really want to know. I think it's a really great fit for this Rams defense, but I want to hear from you as well, how you think he impacts the Rams going forward. Gilmore has demonstrated time and time again that he thrives in man coverage and brings a level of physicality and discipline that the Rams' current group lacks. While the Rams' current cornerbacks have flashed at times, they need a lockdown presence who can eliminate an opponent's top receiving threat and provide leadership to a young defense. Gilmore can be that guy, and currently he's CBS Sports' #1 available cornerback on the open market. Again, that's something else that I fully agree with as well, because a lot of the top corners have already been signed, and for the Rams, they don't need a top corner in order to compete for a Super Bowl. All they really need is just a veteran guy who can come in and, as the article says, provide leadership to a young defense. I think that's really, really important on defense, because Nate Landman, Kyren Williams, they're good guys to have, but they're not guys who are that veteran who he can say, I've been in a Super Bowl, I've played in a Super Bowl. I played, most importantly, with the greatest player of all time in Tom Brady, who has been to so many Super Bowls, and Gilmore even just being in one, Rams fans probably have a bit of a sour taste of Stephon Gilmore's play on Brandon Cooks in the end zone there when Jared Goff threw the ball a little bit too late, and Gilmore was able to adjust in time to knock the ball out of Cooks' hands as the Rams are trying to come back in that game. And if Gilmore doesn't make that play, the Rams tie the game up at 10-10 instead of kicking another field goal and potentially winning that Super Bowl in just Sean McVay's second season as a coach. So we know Gilmore has that clutch gene in him as well. And I would say he's still got that dog in him. I mean, he's not like he once did, but he's still a very, very impactful player. And something else that's very interesting here is that he thrives in man coverage, which is really important for the Rams. They were a pretty zone-reliant team last year, and having someone who can thrive in man coverage, even doesn't have to be all the time. Even if it's 15 to 20% of the snaps are in man, and it's an increase, it's great to have someone who can do that. And the physicality and discipline is very important. Being physical without getting a penalty, like in the NBA, they talk about being physical without fouling. In the NFL, you want to be physical as a defensive back without getting those pass interference penalties, and Stephon Gilmore can definitely do that for the Rams. And the Rams are in a very interesting position because they've managed to remain competitive while undergoing a partial roster reset. Defensively, however, they're still in that process of building an elite defense. Yes, I agree, especially with the cap space. So much of it is allotted to the offense, over $100 million. The defense is somewhere between that $20 and $40 million range, cap space-wise, closer to that $40 million. I don't have the exact number on me there, so if someone wants to leave that in the comments as well, definitely do that down below. And also like this video for the Rams team building skills, because the Rams definitely have one of the best scouting departments, the best GM, and really best player finding departments in general. I don't think that was the right word to say that, but really just the team that constructs the roster, the entire front office has just been on an absolute tear, really ever since McVay took over, and now especially in the later years of Stafford too, keeping this roster relatively cheap so they can make some moves. They're flexible, they have bigger contracts they can trade, they can cut players if they need to, and be able to be in a good spot throughout the future for the team as well. And adding Gilmore wouldn't really require draft picks like it would for a Jalen Ramsey, and it won't be a massive cap hit. He's expected to come at a relatively affordable price given his age and the fact that no one signed him yet. That's ideal for a Rams team that's trying to stay competitive without putting their entire future on the line. Bringing in Gilmore would also serve as a stabilizing force in a young locker room. The Rams are counting on younger players like Verse, Kobe Turner, and Byron Young to really step up on defense, but the team could use a veteran who's performed at an all-pro level like Gilmore to help guide them and accelerate their development. And yeah, that's really what this signing is for. Again, Gilmore, I believe he would start. I would start Gilmore on a day-to-day basis because I do believe he has a higher ceiling for this upcoming season in 2025 than a lot of the Rams' current cornerback options. And a contract for Gilmore would be really, really affordable. I would say something around that 1 year, $4-5 million range, I think suffices for Gilmore. If you want to throw in, stat bonuses or snap count bonuses, they can. That's not really up to me. I'm all for giving players bonuses because players deserve to get paid. They're playing at the highest level, and if they hit those bonuses, they deserve to be rewarded, especially if they hit career highs, which would be tough for Gilmore to hit a career high. But in general, for players, it would add up and make a lot of sense. And I want you to comment down below right now as well. What do you think Gilmore's contract could be, not just for the Rams, but for any team looking to sign Gilmore? I think that $4-5 million range for 1 year, make it fully guaranteed. It's really a win-win situation because you don't have a lot of money tied up in Gilmore, so that if he's bad, releasing him and maybe having to pay $2 million for the rest of the season is not ideal. If he's really, really bad, which I don't foresee, instead of having to release someone who's getting $10-15 million, that's not the end of the world. And that $5 million, it's really a cheap risk for the Rams and for Gilmore, because Gilmore, if he plays well, he has a chance to win a second Super Bowl and bolster his Hall of Fame case, which I believe is on the border right now. That depoy really helps, but I think it's very close. Comment down below. Do you think Gilmore is a Hall of Famer? A second Super Bowl for me would make him a lock, but right now I would say it's around 50-50 to me if he is a Hall of Famer. And plus, it'll help to have someone to help guard the likes of Brandon Ayuk, coming off an injury, Jackson Smith-Njigba, former Ram Cooper Kupp, and Marvin Harrison Jr. twice this season. And the Rams don't need to overcomplicate this. They have a glaring weakness in their secondary and an opportunity to bring in a proven veteran who can instantly elevate the unit. Gilmore checks every box: experience, production, leadership, and versatility. If the Rams want to make a deep playoff push in 2025, signing Gilmore could be a cost-friendly step in that direction. I totally agree. The secondary is the Rams' weakest part of the team depth-wise as well. There's not a lot of depth there. It's a lot of young and unproven guys, and Cam Curl, who I talked about in your previous video, could be on the trade block, and Cam Curl obviously didn't have the best year one with the Rams, so he might be out of there, making that defensive back depth, even thinner. And for Gilmore, he comes in and immediately provides championship experience. He'd be a great mentor to all the young players as well. And I'm going to comment down below right now. Should the Rams sign Gilmore? Let me know in the comments. I believe they should. I think this is a win-win for both sides. And that is it for this episode of Rams Digest. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you don't miss any new daily Rams Digest videos. Comment down below Gilmore's contract, potential stat predictions as well. My stat predictions for Gilmore is I believe he'll have 51 tackles, 2 interceptions. I think he gets another interception this year, and 8 passes defense. I don't see him regressing too much, stat-wise, speed-wise, maybe a little bit, but I think Gilmore has that intelligence and the football IQ to not let that affect him too much. And contract price for Gilmore as well in the comments section down below. Like this video as well if you enjoyed the content. I've been your host, Joshua Finehirsh. Thank you for watching this episode of Rams Digest, and I'll see you soon for another episode of Rams Digest. Have a great rest of your day.